How's it going, YouTube? How's it going, my United fans? Pretty poor, I imagine. If it's anything like I'm feeling at the minute, pretty shocking. Few things to discuss. Have we gone backwards? One of the worst performances I've seen. I've just come back from Old Trafford. I was watching it at Old Trafford, and just pretty diabolical, really. I'm not sure what else to say. Wolves were knocking it around like I've never seen. A team away from home play against us. It was just ridiculous how much we allowed them to play football around us. The fans were flat. I thought the fans were awful. Really, really, really poor. I mean, I've been to some Champions League games where the tempo and the energy is just amazing at Old Trafford. Today it was really poor. They couldn't get a chant out above the Wolves fans. There was maybe 500 fans, maybe 1,000. Call them 1,000 Wolves fans there. Maybe slightly more. I'm not sure. I'm not really good on random numbers of people and counting them really quickly. But even if there's a few thousand there was 60-odd thousand Man United fans, and we couldn't get above the Wolves fans, other than the fact that when we thought we'd scored, it was dreadful, really, really, really poor in that regard. And I think that didn't really help the situation where clearly we were well off the pace. And Old Trafford should be a fortress, and the reason it is a fortress is because the fans get behind the team. And we were just dreadful, really, really poor, really quiet. Every time a chant came, the Stretford end couldn't get across the rest of the stadium enough to pick the rest of the fans up. And in that regard, that started off pretty poorly. Wolves had us beat from a fan point of view. They were singing a lot more than we were. And then you go into the formation and the actual football on the pitch. So, obviously you're getting beat. You're getting beat in the stands, but then you're getting beat on the pitch. Now, the formation, looking at it, was, Jones, Varane. Obviously, everybody heard about Jones leading up to it, and everyone was chuckling about that. It's funny that Jones in the team. Obviously, he was struggling. I thought personally that he was going to tuck Matic in there, but he didn't. He went with Jones. He felt like he just wanted Matic in that midfield, so went with Jones, and I thought he had a good game. I think everyone thinks he's had a good game. Everyone's sort of criticising his clearance, but he did his job. He got rid of it out of the box, and somebody should have been there covering, João Moutinho, not allowing him to just go on and knock it in the bottom corner with acres of space. So I really didn't feel like Jones was at fault for that goal. I really do feel like he had a good game. He broke up a lot of the attacks. He got us going forward a couple of times when he did break up the play. So I didn't think he had a bad game. I thought he played pretty well, to be quite honest. So where to start? I'm really sort of pissed off, to be quite honest, because especially when you make the effort to go and you spend the money to go as well, and it's not really about that. I just want to see United play well, and I think we've been missing a good performance from United for such a long time now. I've come on here, talking about the recent games that we've been having, and we've had lots of sort of we've had a run of games now where we've felt as if we can turn a bit of a corner with Rangnick. That there's winnable games in there. Obviously, we had a bit of COVID disruption with missing the Brighton, the Brentford games. But games either side of that, we've had a lot of fortune in the fact that the run of games that we should be having now are winnable games. And we've shown, from a performance point of view, nothing that would suggest that. I mean, the Newcastle game was dreadful, absolutely awful. And then moving on to this game now, the Wolves game, and it's just another diabolical performance. Really, really shockingly bad. It's quite disappointing, really, that I'm still, once again, talking about a performance that's poor. Obviously, the Burnley game in between that was a little bit of light in the shade. Some positive stuff from that game. We took some chances in that, and Burnley kind of allowed us to play and McTominay was clinical. It's all similar to Leeds. It was a similar sort of effect to Leeds where we had we'd not been playing well, or we didn't really just it flattered us. The scoreline sort of flattered us a little bit, and I think Burnley didn't really show much of a threat going forward. That put us in a position where we were ever going to really sort of worry about them affecting us in the game. But Wolves were knocking it about today like I've never seen. I mean, Neves in midfield was just absolutely running us ragged. It just ridiculous. He played for the goal. He played this outfield, outside the foot pass into space, knowing full well Traore was going to be there. Traore got hold of the ball, and that's what started that attack to whip that ball in. Obviously, then got cleared. It then got sandwiched up by Montinho, but it's just everything. I just watched a little bit of the press conference from Rangnick now, and he's saying the same things as he said in the last few games, really, where we've had poor performances, that we've got to be more physical, we've got to want it more, we've got to be more energetic, we've got to be more on it. And we're just not. We're not more on it. We just don't seem to want it. Greenwood didn't have a bad game today, but he's walking. Ronaldo, at times, he's sprinting to press, and he's calling for the players to move up behind him to press. But it's when Ronaldo decides he wants to run at people. Cavani looked out of sorts today, didn't seem to know what his role was. He's pressing okay. He pressed okay against Burnley, but had a quiet game. Didn't work. It works when Cavani comes on. It didn't work today with Cavani. It didn't work the other day with Cavani playing with Ronaldo. It didn't work again today with Cavani playing with Ronaldo. He had a quiet game. When he got the ball, he didn't seem to know what to do with it. It always seemed to be caught under his feet, or he didn't seem to know what outlet ball to play. Whereas Wolves, on the other hand, as soon as they got the ball in certain positions, knew where that ball needed to go to hurt United. And just a formation in itself, this 2-2-2, whatever it is formation now, it's just, I don't know what it is. It's a sneaky, hidden 4-4-2 formation, especially today, where basically the defensive midfielders slotted into midfield, in centre midfield, and Greenwood and Sancho were wingers, right and left wingers, with Cavani and Ronaldo playing up front. So effectively it was a 4-4-2. I've heard that people laugh at 4-4-2 now because it's such an archaic way of playing football, and you get there's so much space in there to be exposed. So teams do not play that anymore. It's ridiculous. I don't know what to say, what to do, how to what to suggest. It's just on Twitter now trending Rangnick out. I think that's a little bit extreme. I honestly don't feel like it's Rangnick fault. But then it's like, why is there still some of the coaching staff knocking around? Some of the coaching, the guy who does the tactical board. Is it Chris Ramsey? Why is he still there? Why is Darren Fletcher still there? They offered Carrick a job, but Carrick's done a better job. Carrick's done a better job than either Ollie or Rangnick, especially what Rangnick's done in his short tenure, really. There's not been a convincing performance so far since Rangnick's been in charge. Everyone talked about the Palace game. I was at the Palace game. We were good for 20 minutes, and it wasn't even that good. We weren't anywhere near the level that Wolves were at today. If we want to talk about good, they were ridiculous at times today. That Podence just ripped us a new one several times. The amount of times they run from deep and just drifted past 2 or 3 players, it was just ridiculous. Very, very, very poor. Very poor. Always seemed to be a yard away. Always seemed to be just half a step back. It's just not. It's just not Man United, and my fear now is that it never will be Man United ever again. We're not sort of in a position where we're proving to anybody at the minute that we deserve to be at the top, competing for titles or competing for anything. It's embarrassing that we're still in the Champions League, considering where we are currently in the league. It is absolutely embarrassing. I just don't even know where to start with this. I mean, the fans really bugged me today. I really was ready to chant along and sing and get and G up the stadium and hear the vibe. And we were literally, we were deafened by the Wolves fans. Ridiculous. And, you know, the 12th man at Old Trafford, you've got to be putting yourself behind the team in whatever situation. So, I mean, that didn't help. I think Ronaldo's general performance was, again, another poor one. Yeah, he's not getting much service. I think what was sort of poor, really, is that clearly in the game, our only sort of outlet and our only sort of joy, really, it was coming a little bit down sort of the left-hand side, but clearly we were getting some joy out of that right-hand side. But Wan-Bissaka wasn't up to that job, and he hasn't been up to that job since the time he's been at United. It's not a new phenomenon that we're sort of, dealing with and coming across here. This is something that we're very familiar with, isn't it? Like, Wan-Bissaka cannot deliver a ball into a box. He can't go beyond the opposition's fullback. He's not used to doing that. It's not something that Wan-Bissaka's comfortable with doing. So he needed to change that. I saw Dallo warming up. I thought to myself that he's looking at that, and he's going to change that. He's going to bring Dallo on because he knows Dallo will try and get forward and he'll try and play balls into the box and give Ronaldo a little bit of service. Didn't happen. Wan-Bissaka stayed on the pitch until it was too late. I think he came off. Did he come off for Rashford? Switched it around somehow. I think he came off for Rashford, or did Sancho come off for Rashford? Let me just double check that. Really quickly. Wan-Bissaka came off. He came off for Anthony Elanga came on, yeah. But by that time it was too late. I think he went 3 at the back, but it was too late. The game was done. Just really poor. I mean, and my fear really is that when you get a team that are confident, like Man City or Chelsea or Liverpool, they're the 3 biggest teams at the minute, the 3 competing teams, albeit Man City are kind of on another level now. Obviously City's a better example to pick from. But if you look at City and you look at the system that they have, then any player that drops out of that team, that first 11, another player comes in and fits into that system. It's not such a daunting thing because there's a system there that is plays well and plays playing to something. Everybody understands how we need to be playing and what the job is. With United at the minute, it's like another place, plan like D or plan E or plan F, and we're on to G, H, I, J, K, even probably down to W somewhere. It's ridiculous. We're just screwing up that plan and chucking it away and then playing a different player or playing a different formation or playing a different way, and it's just not working. It hasn't worked for too long. It's just every time we go there now, every time we play as a team, every time we go as fans, we go and watch United play, we're all just in anticipation about how we're going to perform. We're not confident going into the game, knowing that we're going to dominate the game, dominate possession, and it's going to be a case of how many is it going to be today? Okay, that's probably a level of arrogance that we've all been sort of, been awarded because we've had such a good run over the last 20 years, but we shouldn't be so far off the mark. Going against Newcastle will have been absolutely dreadful all season, and Newcastle, we made Newcastle look like they were, going for the title. It was ridiculous. Burnley wasn't really convincing. The Palace game wasn't convincing. Fred had to score a goal against Palace in the last 15 minutes. The Norwich game was dreadful. We had to get a soft penalty that brought us back. That Wolves game was awful. We never looked like scoring a goal. And that's what's concerning. We're not creating chances. We're not creating chances because we don't know how to play to a system that creates chances. We don't trust each other in possession. We're not playing the balls early enough into those positions and trusting his teammates to retain the ball and create chances. Bruno did a little bit when he came on, and he looked vibrant, he looked quick, he looked sharp. But other than that, Greenwood was great. Why he brought Greenwood off, I have no idea. Absolutely dreadful idea. Then he brought Rashford on, which just really made it even worse. Rashford had one of probably the best chances to create something on the right hand side and play Bruno in. We kicked it out of play. It's just how that kid is getting minutes over people like Donny van der Beek, who's getting absolutely none at all. I just really don't know how Donny van der Beek cannot get minutes in that team now. I honestly don't know. I mean, it was bad enough when we were speaking about Donny van der Beek when, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was there and there were still issues to resolve and we were playing, it was a bit up and down. But looking at it now, it's even worse than it was before. The teams the teams around us, we weren't sort of beating convincingly, and then some of the top teams, like last season, we weren't beating the top teams, in the top four. Now we're not even guaranteed to beat the teams that are like mid-table and below. We're going into teams against like I say, Newcastle, Norwich, Burnley. Albeit we beat Burnley, but got a bit of the rub of the green with that, and now Wolves they've had a decent start to the season of Wolves, and they're sort of mid to high, the best side of the table, but it's still not good enough. It's not good enough. We need to be going to those games and expecting that we're going to beat those teams, playing to a way that gives us more attacking presence against teams who are weaker than we are. Okay, we're playing Chelsea, we're playing Liverpool, we're playing maybe Spurs now, Arsenal, who found a bit of form. Yeah, we play more compact, we play more defensively in areas, and we build a little slowly. Not against Wolves, not against Newcastle, not against Norwich. We should be going there full out attack with a mindset that is, we know what we're doing here. It's just dreadful. It's absolutely dreadful. It's really, really poor. The fact that he's had to pull Phil Jones out of semi-retirement. Then don't get me wrong, Phil Jones had a good game today, but it still wasn't good enough. That we're relying upon that. We're in that position as the club that we are, but we're relying upon a Phil Jones because we let Tuanzebe go, and Varane's Maguire isn't good enough. An £80 million captain isn't good enough to play. Now, okay, he got injured leading up to the game. Did he? Did he get injured? Or did he just decide, I'm injured, I'm not on form, I need to be dropping out? I don't know. It's just doesn't seem to be going in the right direction. If anything, again, it seems to be like we're going backwards, terribly backwards. The amount of football that was horizontal today, across the back four, there was no balls in behind. There was one ball that got played in behind. I think it was Bruno. He was on for 5 minutes. He played this ball in behind to Ronaldo. Ronaldo should have put the ball on target. But like anything else, when you're getting scraps of chances, those scraps of chances become very, very important. And you start fluffing those chances because you know how infrequent those chances come to you. And I'm not blaming Ronaldo. Ronaldo's hasn't been the player that we saw when he first came in. He had a big impact when he first came in, especially in the early Champions League games. It seemed to give him a little bit of, he performed a little better in the Champions League than he probably did in the league. But he hasn't been good enough. He just hasn't been good enough, and he still isn't good enough. And I don't think Rangnick likes him in his system. I really don't feel like he likes him. I feel like he's been a little bit of a yes man to Ronaldo at the minute. I feel like he can't not play him. He's got to play him. I think out of the fact that it's Ronaldo, and I think we'd all have the same problem if we were managing Man United. It's like you can't not play Ronaldo, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came a cropper to that when he tried to drop him a couple of times. I think it was the Everton game, and he brought him on, and then it wasn't particularly a good performance, but it's just not working. It didn't work with Cavani today, him and Cavani. It just didn't work. It didn't work the other night against Burnley, despite the fact that I know we won 3-1. Cavani just didn't seem to know what he was doing, and he was quiet. That's not to say Cavani's playing poorly at the minute. I think it's quite the opposite. I think he's made a lot of impact performances when he's come on, but they don't work well together. It's not working with them two up front. Sancho was okay today. There was again spurts of like what he can do, but again he's similar to like Memphis Depay. When we had Memphis, it's like he plays a certain way. Martial plays a similar way to Sancho. They're like in little short interchanging passing, little triangles, clever integral play around the box. He'd be perfect for City. He'd be perfect at City. He was at City, wasn't he? He would be perfect there. Where they're comfortable getting the ball in the opponent's third. They're not constantly thinking about, oh God, if I lose this ball now, I'm sprinting 60 metres back because I'm going to have to try and, win the ball back. Because they've got players around them who can do that as well. He's there to do the best of what he's good at, and that's, giving defenders a fright. And today he was okay, but he gets sniffs and he gets snippets in areas where that he needs to be in, and that's in the opponent's final third. He's not getting enough of that. He's not getting enough chances and enough opportunity in those positions to make an impact. Again, he started up on the left. He needs to be on the right. Greenwood was brilliant today. I thought Greenwood was great. Then he brings him off. For Bruno. I didn't get it. If you want to go more attacking, you want to be more expansive, you want to try and go get a goal, bring Matic off and bring Bruno on. Leave one at the back, or leave one in the defensive midfield role. If that's McTominay, I'll bring McTominay off. I thought I had a decent first half in patches, but bring McTominay off and bring Bruno on and shove Bruno more forward and be more attacking and more expansive and be brave. Fergie, with every team that he ever played, would always be brave with the team. Always be brave. He'd always go out to win. That's what he'd always say. Out to, the Man United are here to win. At all costs, to win. You've got to be sensible, at times in the game, but when you're 70 minutes, you've got 20 minutes to play, it's 0-0 at home to Wolves, and you need to be getting a result. You don't bring Greenwood off and bring Bruno on. It's just mad. Like for like, well, not like for like change. I know they're different sort of players, but it's not a positive change, is it? Bring a sort of an attacking-minded player off. What would have been better is go, right, Cavani, you're coming off. All right, Ronaldo, you're coming off. Greenwood, you're pushing up front. Matic, you're coming off. Bruno, you're on. And shift it round that way and go more attacking that way. But didn't do that. So I don't know. Just really, really, really poor in that respect, and it was just dreadful. The fans again I just mentioned it before, but the fans were flat, really flat, and you sensed it from kick-off really. And I think if you're going into that game with a little bit of continuity in performance, and you're going in there with a little bit of a consistent sort of few performances where you've won a few games. The fans naturally are kind of in a good mood, and I feel as if they're going to go on and beat Wolves, but you just felt as if with the fans being that flat that they didn't really believe that we were going to beat them today. And I didn't. I sort of went in there again sort of thinking anything could happen here. And I think that's what Rangnick is really struggling with now, making sure that he gets that belief in the players. They start believing in what he's trying to do. Start believing that this system will get us going and get us playing and get us winning. At the minute there's just no end product to that Rangnick style, and I think in his defence, I don't think the time of the year particularly helps to try and bolster belief in a team that all this effort, all this stuff that Rangnick's saying. We can see an end product to it because we're winning games, winning convincingly, we're playing well. There's a good morale in the team. If anything, it's going the opposite way where, the belief is pretty poor. The belief in the system is dwindling because we're not getting results. Players can't see how it's operating and how it's working. But it didn't work with Ollie, and now you get to this crossroads where you can only blame managers for so long. We blamed Mourinho who had a great win percentage, blamed him for bringing a bad attitude and a bad ethos to the team. And it happened similarly to Mourinho at Spurs. Spurs fans blamed him. They blamed him for the culture that he brought and the feeling that he brought and everything else. But then Nuno came in and suffered because of that. Then they had to go get a manager who was very similar to Mourinho, who stamped his foot down, put his foot down. And yeah, Spurs suffered in the first couple of games under Conte, are now prospering under Conte. I've watched them a couple of games, and they're brilliant under Conte now. Same players, listening to the manager, and he's got Kane playing. Kane, who's been off it for most of the start of the season, got him playing, got a song back to some sort of form. So it can happen. Relying on, I'm not saying anyone in particular is to blame per se. I think the manager's got to take a lot of responsibility and start being confident in his decision making and be confident in the players that he's picking. And if he doesn't believe in a Ronaldo or doesn't believe in a Cavani or anybody else for that matter, not picking them because they come with millions of followers on Instagram, or the directors need to see them play 30 matches a season or whatever it is. If it's not working for the system that Rangnick wants to play, then he needs to be dropping those players and not playing them. Greenwood worked at the start of the season at centre forward. It worked every time he's played in that position this season. He scored goals. We played young boys. He's not played that position for God knows how many months prior to that. And he scored in a poor, young Man United team. He scored. He'd score again. He'd have scored tonight, playing down the middle, because that's Greenwood's position. It's not working with Ronaldo. Yeah, whether you like it or not, I don't like it. I've got Ronaldo on the back of this shirt. Yeah, I've got a picture of Ronaldo right there. He's a legend, but it's just not working with him at the minute in that position. It's not working with him and Cavani. Rashford's miles off form. We need a centre midfielder. You're talking about getting Alvarez now from, River Plate, is it? And we don't need another forward player. Is he going to play in an attacking midfield role? We don't need that. We don't play to a system. The players around don't trust the teammates. We could have Kevin De Bruyne in our team, and we wouldn't play him if he called for the ball with his back to the defence, and he asked players to play it into his feet. He asked Wan-Bissaka to play it into his feet and give it to him with a defender maybe a yard or two behind it. He would not play it into his feet because they don't trust each other to retain the ball. You could put anyone in our team and they'd drop to that level. Until the players start trusting each other and start playing passes and being more adventurous, we're not going to advance as a team. It's too cautious and cagey. As soon as Bruno came on today and was trying a little bit, and the fans have got to get off his back as well. He's trying stuff and he's trying passes and sometimes it comes off. But when it doesn't come off, you can't get on it instantly, and that happens. That is what it is, I suppose. But when he came on, you could see he was a difference. We missed Pogba, massively missed Pogba. Pogba was class at the start of the season. I had a bit of a falling out once again. I've said this in a couple of videos prior to this that we do miss him. Massively miss him. You're going to miss a player who's valued at £100 million, who's a World Cup winner, who's at the peak of his age in footballing, in the footballing world. He's late 20s. You're gonna miss that, and we need him back really. Ideally, Pogba in that team calms it down. His strength, if anything else. Wolves today, I'll give Wolves massive respect. I'm not going to come on here and pretend that it was our poor performance that was necessarily the reason that Wolves got the result. I thought Wolves worked hard in their style. Podence was incredible. He was, I wouldn't say he's as good as Bernardo Silva, but it was the way that he rode challenges, he got ankle tapped several times, just didn't go down. You know, he was incredible, brilliant to watch. To be fair, Martinez was class. Neves was unreal in that midfield. It was really good, ridiculous. Just mopped everything up. Played lovely passes left and right. It was ridiculous, and that is a player that we miss. Everyone, talking about Declan Rice at the minute, but he was class in that midfield today. Neves, he was really, really good. Just unreal. Nelson Semedo, wow, man! That guy, ridiculous close control, fast. Don't think he lost the ball once, and his defensive attitude as well. You know, the amount of times he got back and he covered back. You know, Wolves were playing a three at the back with 4 in midfield. They compact the midfield, but still had an attacking outlet. It was incredible, really. But Semedo, very impressed with Semedo. I thought he was brilliant. Nelson Semedo. I thought Ruben Neves was absolutely class as well. And Podence for me. I mean, obviously, I thought Jimenez did well in the second half for them. I thought he really sort of got them going, got on the end of stuff, got them up the field. The first half probably was a little quiet. Just everyone, Roman Sainz got sort of forward for them countless amounts of times. Connor Cody was class at the back. The keeper was unreal. Everything that came aerially, he grabbed. He was out quick off his line when things were in behind. They were just brilliant. They were just absolutely brilliant, to be fair to him. And Martinez got the goal. And Martinez was class as well. But for me, Ruben Neves and Semedo in particular, and Podence in the first half were just a close control. The passing was intricate. They were just ridiculous, to be fair. And they showed us up. They really did show us up at times. And we need to improve. He needs to be brave. Rangnick needs to be brave next game. He needs to make some serious changes. Trust his system and play with players who he believes are going to play to that system. Not playing to the crowd or playing to the directors. He needs to play what the system that he believes, and that's it. Then he'll live and die by the sword. Then if he's going to go out there and play to a style, but then not play with the right sort of players to match that style, and he's losing games and he gets the sack because of it, he'll only have himself to blame. I mean, will he get the sack? He's got 6 months, then he's got a consultancy job. I'm not sure that's really going to work, but he really needs to play what he feels is the best style to match his the best team to match his style. And if that's not with Ronaldo, then unfortunately as fans we've got to stomach that if performances improve and results improve. If we're starting to win games, the performances pick up, we look comfortable on the ball, we're creating more chances, then so be it. I mean, would everybody love to see a Greenwood, Sancho, I don't know, on the left? Who do you want to play? I won't say Rashford at this minute in time, but maybe even giving Alanga a chance. Go with a fast front three, and then Bruno in behind with McTominay helping out in a defensive midfield role. We've got options there, haven't we? We've got absolutely an abundance of options, and at this moment in time, we all thought Ronaldo was going to be the key. I'm not saying Ronaldo's a reason for that, by the way. Ronaldo could still fit into the system, but personally, I just don't feel like Rangnick is picking a team that he believes is the right team for the system that he wants to play, and that's ultimately the issue here, because it's not improving. Again, like I said before, earlier in this video, everyone's going, "Oh, the first 20, 30 minutes in that Palace game, Rangnick's first game, look how much we're improving." Palace were poor. Palace allowed us to play. They didn't have anything going forward, and they allowed us to retain the ball deep in their half. They were poor. Very, very poor. Flip that to Newcastle. We made Newcastle look like European champions. They were just ridiculous how easy we made them play. Norwich, we were poor. I don't think we were particularly great against Burnley, despite we got a few goals. The game, the scoreline at half-time flattered us a little bit, to be quite honest. And today, we were just dreadful. And we allowed Wolves to play. Yes, they were very physical. Rangnick said in his interview today that we need to be more physical, both from an energetic point of view, I suppose, running around, getting in their face, and both from an actual physical, body perspective and getting in the face and physically getting older people. We're not doing that. Wolves did that to us countless amounts of times. Not a big team. Not a particularly big team. Okay, they've got some big players at the back. Kilman and, Size is a big player, Connor Cody, whatever. But, Traore wasn't on that pitch until late in the second half. You got Podence, you've got, Jimenez is a big striker. But you got Podence, you had Semedo's not a big player. Martino's a tiny player. And we're getting dominated in midfield. It was ridiculous. For me, the concerning thing with Rangnick was that there was clearly obvious plus points that we were getting out of the game. The right-hand side was clearly an area where we were getting some joy, as I said before. Yet he didn't sort of seem to change that. Wan-Bissaka couldn't cope with that side in terms of delivering anything to give any of the strikers a chance. We got a couple of crosses, nothing of real kind of, sort of level of quality, really. So we had an opportunity there to change that up, to go, right, okay, we're getting some joy down this right-hand side. What can I do to make sure that we get some level of quality into that box? I think Sancho moved over to the right-hand side, and that's ultimately where the quality seemed to stop. But Dalot should have been on, maybe. Dalot's a little bit better going forward, probably obviously weaker coming back. Was Rangnick a bit more concerned about that? He shouldn't have been. I mean, if you're concerned about coming backwards all the time as a Man United player, or as a Man United team, there's some major concerns to begin with. But I think he should have looked at that instantly and gone, right, we've got an opportunity here to hit this right hand side and get balls constantly down this right hand side. It didn't happen. It just didn't happen. It didn't come. I think we were clearly getting overrun in midfield constantly. Every 50-50, every loose ball was mopped up by Wolves. Countless amounts of times. We were consistently getting the ball and running out of ideas. And I think we just needed to change something up early enough. And I don't think he did that. He waited too long to start making changes, to start speaking to the players and making things happen. And that was a little disappointing, really. A manager of his experience and somebody who's been quite vocal about his system and his style. It was pretty poor to see that he didn't really sort of change things quickly enough, or quicker, should I say. So that was a pretty disappointing. I mean, just in general performances, again, I've touched on a bit of Ronaldo. I thought Ronaldo was okay, really. It was okay for what, he didn't do anything particularly poor. But then again, he's not fit into this system. Cavani wasn't great. Wan-Bissaka was pretty dreadful, to be quite honest. Although he did get forward a few more times. His delivery once again was just way below standard, and that's seriously where, if I was Rangnick now, I would be looking at improving that area of the pitch. That right back, possibly not left back position. I think he's got a lot. He's got Shaw and he's got cover in Tellez. But that right hand side at the minute is just awful. It's been awful since Valencia days, and obviously prior to that, Ronaldo's days. But he's been poor for seasons upon seasons upon seasons. It needs to change. He needs to be bringing somebody in there who's going to attack and defend, and it's not an unheard thing for an elite footballer now to have that level of fitness and level of sort of quality to retain the ball and be comfortable on the ball. And we've seen all the top teams now, these positions are the key positions on the pitch. They're getting the most touches of the ball deep in the opponent's half. The fullbacks, they're the ones crossing the balls in. They're the ones playing these little reverse passes. They're integral to developing these attacks, and we've not got that potency. We've got a right back who's one of the best defensive right backs in the league, which is getting questionable, by the way. He's getting exposed, and you will get exposed if your form starts dipping. and it has dipped. I think his confidence has dipped, and that is equally added to his form dipping. But he's one of the best defensive right backs in the league. But he's not good enough. He's way off it in terms of him going forward, and it's not 20, 30 years ago where you can be a good defensive right back and just get away with being a good defensive right back. You need to be good going forward as well, and he's not doing that. And that's what needs to change. I think a good loanee or even a signing would be perfect, but a good loanee during January transfer window would be perfect. But we'll have to see. But that right hand side is just poor. It's really, really poor, and it needs to improve. And we got a little bit of joy again from it, like I say, and we needed to take the advantage of that really. I think just overall the play was just slow. It's slow. It's been slow for I don't know how many weeks and months and seasons. It's slow. We don't seem to have any idea of like what we need to be doing in certain positions. When Wolves were getting the ball, so when Neves was getting the ball in midfield, he was playing blind passes to certain parts of the pitch, and they were getting joy from it. They were getting, as I say, the goal. The reason they got the cross in was because Neves played this blind pass out to the right hand side, which Traore picked up, crossed the ball in, Jones cleared it, but then it came to Moutinho. And we're not doing that enough. We're not playing potent passes into dangerous areas. We did it once, maybe a couple of times. We definitely did it once, and Ronaldo was on the end of it and went through and, like I said, nearly scored. But it's not consistent enough. Teams are figuring us out, and in this league, it doesn't take time. It doesn't take a lot of time, should I say, for teams to figure you out and work out what you're doing and play against you. Because managers do that. Good managers do that, and good teams do that. United struggle, and I've struggled now at least, I'll be fair, and say at least a full season, maybe season and a half, where we've struggled to break down weaker teams. We're not a good possessive football team. We don't like retaining the ball for long periods of time. Man City, opposite to that, love keeping the ball needlessly. But Pep's Barcelona was the same. Love keeping the ball needlessly. Liverpool, a different style. Chelsea had a little bit of both styles. If you watched a little bit of the Liverpool-Chelsea game, which was unbelievable, by the way, the other night. But Liverpool do like to keep the ball, but will play that probing pass if it's on. Or they'll try it, knowing that they're comfortable with winning it back and having that fitness to win it back. Chelsea like to keep the ball. They will play similar, will play direct, but a little similar to Man City in the fact that they like to keep the ball. That they're a more possession type football team. United aren't either. We aren't either. We don't trust ourselves being direct, and we're not good at keeping the ball and breaking teams down. So what teams do, smaller, weaker teams, will sit against us, compact the midfield and sit against us with one or two or three or four quick counter-attacking players and a couple of midfielders who can play good passes direct, who are good passers of the ball, like Moutinho today, like Neves today. So we lose the ball deep in their half because we don't know what we're doing with it, and we lose it in silly areas. And then Neves or Moutinho are playing direct, probing passes to people like Traore or Semedo, or giving it to Jimenez on his chest or, to his head or whatever. It's just not good enough. Just the style is just ridiculous. I mean, even if we were playing Allardyce's style, you could at least say we were playing to some sort of style, but it's just, I don't know. I don't know what else to say, really, but yeah, it's coming up to the 45-minute mark. Ranted a little bit. I appreciate I've probably repeated myself several times. And equally, probably just gone from one thing to another, really. But I think overall, just a very concerning performance again. I think, it needs to improve. The next game we've got is, I think it's the FA Cup game against Villa. And then I think we've got Villa straight after, so we've got double Villa. Again, I think the FA Cup is a cup that we've got to look at seriously this season. I think we always do anyways, probably as fans, but I think everybody would agree that it's probably not been on the radar over the years, but it's definitely a cup that we need to take seriously, considering we're out of the Carabao as well. So I think we need to be seriously looking at winning that and putting a good performance and a good team in against Villa, and hopefully he does that. So that'll be interesting. I think following that, then we've got Villa again, like I say. So that's again, and it's another must-win game, isn't it? We need to be putting these performances in against these teams. I'll just quickly get up the fixture list and see if we can have a quick little look through that, and then we'll call it a night, I think. But let's have a look. Let's get the fixture list up. Let's just shoot over to this. So this is the fixture list. So we've got the FA Cup third round on Monday the 10th against Villa, and then we've got Villa away on Saturday that weekend. So quite a few days in between. Then we've got West Ham, so a big game. That's when the games start then getting a little tough for them. West Ham, at home, but it's West Ham, and West Ham are playing far better than we're playing. But United have got this funny knack of stepping up and playing at a level when it seems to matter. So anything can happen with this team. We've got the quality. It's just putting it all together. Hopefully by that time we've come off the two decent results at both Villa games, and we're all a little bit happier with that. And then we're going to West Ham with some area of some element of positivity, but we'll have to see. Next got Burnley, which obviously we've just beaten Burnley 3-1. It wasn't the most convincing performance, but we got a result, so you'd expect another decent result away at Burnley. Then Southampton, again, it's kind of a mixed bag. I think we've had amazing results against Southampton. The biggest win was it last season before, the 9-1 game and stuff. But again, you just never know with United, and Southampton have sort of slightly improved form over the last 12 months. So nothing's guaranteed. Then away at Ellen Road at Leeds, which over the last few games Leeds seem to be that team that seem to give us some level of joy, which is great because it's obviously a massive game against Leeds. It always is. So it's nice that we've hammered them every time we seem to have played them. So let's hope we get a result at Leeds. But we have to see again. Out of those fixtures, what's that? 2, 4, 6 out of the next 6 games. You'd like to think they would get pretty much 5 out of the 6. West Ham's obviously maybe a draw out of that, but all the other games are winnable. Should be, as United fans, as we know it, should be games that we're expecting to win. The Leeds game's always a tough game because it's obviously a bit up and down with the I think considering where we're at the minute and where what Leeds are fighting for, I think it could be anything sort of game. I think the West Ham game, I think we get a draw at the minute with the way that we're performing is, I hate to say it, but probably a decent result. West Ham have beaten some top teams recently as well. So I don't think it would be a terrible result to get a draw out of that game. Obviously a win would be amazing, I think, against West Ham, especially considering where they're at the minute and where we need to be. Then we move on sort of into the Champions League late in February, and then Watford, and then Man City. So that's when the games start coming thick and fast and getting tough. Then we've got Man City, Spurs, Madrid second leg, Liverpool, Leicester, Everton. So yeah, it doesn't get much easier, does it, really, to be quite honest? So yeah, pretty tough. Oops, put that on there. yeah, so yeah, just a pretty tough next few games, really. I suppose. Well, next few games we should be getting. It should be fairly convincing, but getting into February, it's beyond February. It's getting pretty tough, and I think if we're not where we're hoping to be by Feb, then it's going to get pretty concerning for United and for United fans. So yeah, fingers crossed. And we'll see. Obviously, bounce on to the FA Cup game, and then we'll take it from there, really, I suppose. But yeah, appreciate everybody that's been watching. I've had a few people watch tonight, so that's been quite nice. Again, I'll be doing a sort of a build up to the FA Cup game in a few days. As we said, that's on the 10th of Jan, so quite a few days to wait now till the next game. So we've got a bit of a break, so might do a sort of a couple of reaction videos or some discussions on some of the players and everything else. I'm sure there'll be a bit of news banding around in the next few days as we have a few days to spare. There's obviously a week now before the next game, so a bit to talk about. But yeah, appreciate everyone watching, and if you do watch it, or have been watching, or you're watching it now, and you wouldn't mind dropping me a like, I'd appreciate that, and subscribe if you like what I'm doing. And don't forget to comment. I'll always try and comment back if I can. So no, I appreciate everybody that's been watching. Yeah, I'll catch you in a few days' time. See you guys. Bye.